Here is a 2023 Volkswagen ID.4 Pro S all-wheel drive in pure gray over Galaxy leatherette interior. Is there a difference between a 22 and a 23? What's the difference between the trim levels? And is this going to get enough range? I'm Anthony from Hawkeye Rides, and we're going to explain some of those details, starting off with the standard IQ safety features. Standard LED headlamps and daytime runnings. When you get to the S trim, it's going to be projected LED headlamps and daytime runnings that integrate into the Volkswagen badging. I do like the light bar when we're going electric because you want it to be a little bit more futuristic, and that's what you're getting. On the lower, you're going to get the grille pattern. It has some functionality. The rest is going to be just a wall, more or less, for aesthetics. But the curtains on the side have a pass-through. There is no frunk underneath, which cuts some of the storage capacity for the ID.4, comparing it to a Tesla, but not even the Nissan will have a frunk. So for the everyday type of vehicle that is going electric, I think Volkswagen is right on tier. It starts off with 201 horsepower and 275-mile range. Here, we get 295 horsepower, 255 miles of range. Charging times on a quick charge is between 30 and 36 minutes. 7.5 hours on a level 2 or a 240 volt. And because this is the Pro S, we're getting these 20-inch alloy wheels. Standard will be a 19-inch. 56 miles on a 10-minute DC quick charge. 104 mpges for the city, 93 mpges for the highway. It has a fastback design, but it isn't the case in the sense of losing rear headspace. It's really just a aesthetic look. The gloss black here makes it look more sporty and giving that coupe vibe. The gloss black is going to attach to the lower roof spoiler. It's a sleek, smaller rear window. The all-wheel drive unlocks 2,700 pounds of towing, standard LED tail lights that run into the light bar, and the grille pattern is inside, and it starts making more of a sleek design, integrating into the Volkswagen badging and the ID.4 print. Going back to the rivals, this is going to be more of a traditional SUV with that fastback design look. Go to Tesla, it's going to look like it's going to Mars. Hyundai, it's going to have that 80s vibe. Nissan, it's going to be a little bit in between with a power liftgate going inside 30.2 cubic feet of storage. Storage nooks are going to be found on both sides. LED interior lighting with a 12 volt. Cool thing about the ID.4, this folds. You can also shove it downwards. It's always a little bit easier when you have both hands free, but when you do so, you'll optimize more storage capacity from top to bottom. And you don't have to worry about just throwing it into the garage. And also on the bottom, you have another little storage unit because you don't have a frunk. So they are giving you optimal storage inside the cargo. Split fold the rear bench at a 40-60 split, and that will maximize cargo to 64.2 cubic feet because it has that styling and it's not a full coupe design. You still get optimal storage capacity. You don't have to push the push, but we're going to anyways. 12-way power seat adjustments start on the S. Heated front seats is standard on all trims. Memory seats also on the S trim it will start with. Headroom starts at 41.1 inches. Legroom at 41.1 inches. And it has a new redesigned center cluster, and the dash layout is going to be a little bit more sporty and athletic. All trims now come standard with a 12-inch touchscreen with navigation, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, Sirius XM, AM, FM, streaming Bluetooth audio. Ambient lighting, you have 30 different color options that you can toggle through. A nice little thing though is when you go into your assistant settings, you click onto the icons and you can just activate or deactivate them by simply pushing on the blue icon. So I think that is pretty cool that they implement a more easier way of changing your settings. You want a 360-degree reverse camera, you go into the Pro S. The bottom will get the gloss black that's going to surround all the air vents, and you'll get that gray interior that will surround it. The gauge cluster is going to be a little bit more simplified and smaller, but it's pretty much all the information that you would need. You can even activate your turn-by-turn navigation on there. This is the gear lever to put it into drive, reverse, and the B-roll. The steering wheel is a multi-function with touch pads, square bottom. Now your wireless charger pad is right here with a little lever to close it in with USB ports and another little storage cubby here. Open up inside and you can see it's a deep storage pocket. The dashboard and the door panels configure into a trim, and you'll get that silver that's coming into play. It's going to be more soft to arrive where it needs to be. One touch up and down for all the windows, and to make it a little bit more seamless, just click onto the rear to lower the windows, or you just push it that way to lower the front window. Long panel moonroof and an edgeless auto-dimming rear view mirror. For the back seats, 37 points of legroom, and storage is good. You have a little storage cubby here, another one right here, and that's on both of the front seats. Air vents in the center, USB ports, and a little storage cubby. It's going to be soft where it needs to be, and the cup holders are going to be in the center. The door panel is going to have the same materials that are found in the front. The armrest for the center starts on the S. It's going to be soft where it needs to be, one touch up and down, and the gloss black is going to be found to give that futuristic style with a smaller storage pocket with about a beverage holder carved out. Fold that up and we're going to slide into the center. The floor is more or less completely flat. If you put your feet in the center though, it's going to make more of a rail issue even though the rails are pushed up because of the center cluster. Butt and shoulder space will be shared, but for a smaller electric vehicle, it's doable. Headroom, because you got the pano, it's also not bad. 82 kilowatt lithium ion battery pack. I like the roller to put it into drive and reverse because it's really cool. It cleans up the center cluster, which they have done that for 2023. It's a little bit more usable in the sense of your charging capacity for your phone, but for the cup holders, you gotta kind of go like this. If you're tall like me in storage, you don't have a pass-through. In the prior, you had kind of a little bit more of a storage area here. It's a little bit more closed off, but it does match the segment. I would say it's very close to Tesla, Nissan, because they have the retractable center cluster here that can move forward and backwards. It's a little bit more unique in the sense of giving you that airy feel, but because everything is lower, I think they did a good job keeping the electric vibe and making it just more spacious and wide throughout the interior, especially for the back seats. I mean, you have quite a bit of space. You don't lose any headroom because it's not a real sport back design. It's just a look. I think they're ticking a lot of the boxes right off the bat. It's going to take me to some pros and cons, in which start off with the pros. 295 horsepower, 0 to 60 at 5.8 seconds. I mean, this is a pretty quick car. Charging speeds around 30 to 36 minutes for 80% charge, 7.5 hour charging overnight, 240 volt or a level 2 charger. These are some good points. I mean, Volkswagen has went a little bit above and beyond. 255 mile range, it's not bad either, so you can get to point A to point B. It's going to be a little bit more so than Nissan. The Pro S all-wheel drive is kind of a sweet spot because you are also getting the maximum towing capacity. We have it in sport mode, so we're going to see the dynamics unfold as soon as the light turns green, and then we'll go to some of those cons. Here we go. She's quick. Does a good job. Sound deadening is not bad. For the price point, it would be nice to be a little bit more quiet, but this is also what happens when you get larger wheels. And the side view mirrors are also a lot more wide, so that helps with some of the noise that's filtering in. The door handles being flush definitely helps make it more quiet. Taking to some cons. Everything is derived through the infotainment screen, and when you start the vehicle, it does take quite a bit of time to turn on the climate control, in which if you hit the Climatron button, it'll say it's not ready yet. And when you're in the state of Florida and it's pretty hot in the summer, you really don't want that to happen. It's a lot of multi-pages too. I like that it is gesture control. Just you click into something, then you gotta exit or wait a few seconds for it to go back to the other screen. The gauge cluster is a little bit more seamless, but it's a little bit too simple in the sense of it takes away from a dynamic look. The steering wheel, I do like the touch sensitive buttons. They work really well, but I wish that we had a little bit more buttons instead of just a infotainment screen, because you really only have about 4 or 5 buttons underneath here. Yes, you can change the temperature and raise it up and down without going into the Climatron, and you can also lower or raise the audio sound system, and you can change your driving modes. The center cluster, I like the design. I just feel that you had more storage in the prior configuration. And the other con would be that the touch sensitive buttons that's on the driver's side is in a matte black, where everything else is gloss black. So it almost looks like they just got it out of a different parts bin and said, oh my God, let's just throw it in the car. The materials that are inside are premium. I do like what it's working with. They do a lot of contrast stitching and different stitch design. Going back to some comparison, the Nissan Ariya, I think they did a good job with the electronic design, in the sense that you can electronically move this forward or backwards, the center cluster. It's a little bit more futuristic in the interior of the cabin, and they're giving you Infinity components for about $20,000 cheaper. Here, it is getting components from Audi, and it is a lower price point. It's just once you start getting into a near $60,000 price point, you're really wanting to see a lot more soft materials, and they still add a little bit more harder materials on the top areas of the door panels, and in some cases where you're going to rest your arms. The seats are comfortable, they're wide, and they're pretty long. They're a little bit longer than the Tesla. I like this a little bit better than the Audi Q4 because you actually get a little bit more luxury in this. You have to spend quite a bit of money in order to feel the same type of materials throughout the interior of the cabin. On the exterior, the light bars give a good futuristic aesthetic. Turn radius, we're gonna try to do it as close to a stop point as possible. You're gonna get about 2 lanes, give or go. And we got the B-roll. Doing the B-roll on an everyday drive, if it's to light, it's not bad because it's pretty much bringing me to a complete stop. But if you're doing it in the sense of there's not that many lights, I mean, you're going to come to a stop quite a bit. A cool thing that Volkswagen implements to help save some of the battery is they give you a eco climate control setting, which will make it not as powerful, and it can give you a little bit more range. It's not going to be a significant difference, but anything helps considering everything is electric in an electric vehicle. For me, I'm not all sold on electric vehicles because we're still with the grid being 80 to 85% coal. But if I was looking for an SUV, this does have a lot of attributes that tick the box for me. Towing could be a little bit better, but because it's all-wheel drive, I mean, you're near 3,000 pounds. You can also use the roof rails, and it does have sufficient amount of cargo, considering this isn't the longest vehicle in class. I like it a little bit better than Tesla because Tesla is a little bit more plain in the interior. But let me know your thoughts in the comments. And if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. Check out the next video, merchandise, website, and Instagram. Leave a comment and a like. And I'd like to thank Volkswagen of Newport Richey for giving us this 2023 Volkswagen ID.4 Pro S all-wheel drive for our car review.